Girl, stop playing. Welcome to another episode of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. I am Coriel, and y'all know that we are here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. And today I have a special guest who's going to be joining us. Y'all have heard so many amazing things about today's guest. But she is going to get an opportunity to introduce herself to the Girl Stop Playing audience. Teri, coming from a former educator myself, your story is so inspirational. I know that you talk to teachers all the time who ask you, like, how did you get out? As if you were like escaping or something. So let's just start there with the Teri Ijeoma pre-trade and travel.
Okay. So as you said, I've been in education, or I was in education for 10 years. And I went from everything from working on the administrative side of Teach for America to working in ministry and helping with after school programs to finally being assistant principal of an elementary school. So yes, I've seen all spectrums of education. And I know the biggest thing is that we are overworked and underpaid most times. Even though we are serving and we are helping people and we love the kids, many of us love the Lord and God, and we just, we have all kind of purposes. But oftentimes when you're in nonprofits or education, you're working all the time and you never get to breathe. You don't have time for yourself. Often, for me anyway, my story was I was stressed out, I was overworked, and then I had administrators that were just extra picky and petty. Ooh. So, girl.
Listen, we can talk about these micromanaging administrators all day long. I don't know why that's like a common thing for educators, and that is like pushing the good people out the door. And you are proof, right? Because imagine the brilliance that you were bringing to the classroom. That now, I mean, you've created a global classroom, but those children, right, they are not able to tap into that resource anymore because of the way that the system stresses us out and puts, the burden on the people who really are there to serve. So being able to go from the confines of, your traditional classroom to having this global classroom, the #1 course on Teachable, like truly inspirational. So you have made a name for yourself in the trade and travel space. I feel like trading is one of those terms that's often used. We hear about it all the time, but we don't really know what it means. What is trading? Can you define it for us and talk a little bit about how you got into it?
Yes. So for a lot of my ladies out there, I'm sure that you guys are doing your thing, but then you also might need some help. And you might have said, oh my gosh, if I could just have an assistant, then that would just mean all the world to me. Well, let's just break that down. So say you wanted to get an assistant and the assistant costs $10 an hour. So for you to get some help for one day, you just need 8 hours of help. That's $80. So the thing is, well, how could I trade stocks to pay for my assistant to just get a day of help? Well, what if you invested in a stock that moved $1 a day? So I think about right now, like one of the stocks I like is, and this is educational purposes only, got to put my disclaimer out there, not telling you what to do, but like say you invested in let's say AMD. AMD is a semiconductor phone company. They have chips in your cell phone, so you couldn't use your cell phone without them. So they right now are a little under $100. But just say you invested in a stock for $100 and they move $1 a day. Well, all you need is 8 of them. You need 8 shares of AMD. If in that day it moves $1, you could sell at $101, and now you have $80 to pay for your help, your assistant. That is literally what trading is. We invest in stock. As the price moves, we take the profit just like any business. You invest in it. The price goes up. You sell it, make a little money. And then we use that to pay for what we want. And for me, it was travel. I wanted to go to Greece. So I paid for hotels. I paid for food, excursions using trading.
Yeah. So what's so crazy is, so I just finished up this Make More Money challenge where it was all around helping women start digital products. And one of the things, like their aha moments, they kept saying is the way that you broke down like this big goal into something that actually seemed achievable. So when you say like you only have to do 8, I know 8. I can wrap my mind around 8. I can count up 8 on my fingers. So that sounds attainable. And I think when we are taking these classes from I don't want to say like true educators. Everybody has classes, right? But not everyone truly has like a heart for education and then like the experience of an educator. But when you are fortunate enough to get into a classroom with a true educator that can break down these big, scary concepts into these bite-sized, things that we feel like we can actually accomplish, that is truly a gift. And I think that that's probably why your students are so successful, because you're not just making money trading, you're also teaching others, how to do it too. Why do you think, what is it about your course though, Teri, that is like, what is getting you what is it about this course that people are like running you down, chasing you down to enroll?
Thank you. And actually, I just thought about the math too. I misspoke. So if you had 8 of them, they'd each need to move $10. But just imagine if you had 8 shares of a stock and it moved $10, you could use that money to pay for your assistant.
Yeah.
But what makes my course different? I think one is the teacher part. Because I was in education so long, my students are like, you make stuff super simple. You know how to break it down, these crazy concepts. You're like able to make it easy to understand. So I think that's important. We also have a big community now. Like now I've taught over 20,000 people how to trade.
Wow.
And they're all over the world. So there's a lot of support. They're all supporting each other, making sure that like they do meetups now in different cities. They meet together. They make sure that they're going over their charts and learning how to trade. So I think accountability, community, and then just ease of use are what makes my course really, really good and stand out.
Yeah, and definitely the community aspect, because I think whenever you are doing something big and scary, like stepping out of the classroom and trying to accomplish this thing that people around you probably have never accomplished or seen someone accomplish before, when you're the first to do it first, it can feel lonely, it can feel stressful, it can feel scary. It can feel like you just don't know what you're doing. So having these communities, not just a coach, that's definitely, a big part of it, but also having the community to support you and to hold you accountable and to, push you along your journey, I think is super, super important as well. And to think that you were able to go from a classroom of 20 students to 20,000 students all around the world, that truly is just a testament to what is possible when you truly discover your purpose, because you didn't really step away from teaching. You're just doing it in a new way.
A different way, right? And I always have to say, I wasn't a teacher. I was assistant principal. Because some people be like, "Well, what grade did you teach?"
What
I
you
was
do for Teach
assistant
for
principal.
America?
Huh?
What'd you do for Teach for America?
I was in their admin. I taught the teachers. I
Oh,
helped.
you
Yep,
got
I was part of the
you
operations team.
dodged the bullet. You dodged 20 little bullets on a daily basis. Wow, that's beautiful.
But
That's
you know
beautiful.
where I did teach? I was actually a youth pastor. And so I
Okay.
think those kind of skills, like when you're able to like break down a message, break down
Yeah.
the word of God to kids. I was the youth pastor for middle schoolers. So if you can imagine like having to
Mm,
keep them engaged, that kind
yeah,
of
I
teaching,
can imagine.
yep, it
Oh,
goes a long way.
okay, so that's a perfect segue, because you mentioned being a youth pastor, which tells me that you were not just your belief system when it comes to religion isn't just, I'm gonna like read a Bible verse here and there, I'm gonna tap in and maybe go to church this weekend if I feel like it, if I feel like getting up. You are locked in, you're dedicated, and you're committed. And I know this because I've been getting all up in your business trying to prepare for this interview. So can we
Oh
get in your
goodness.
business a little bit?
Sure, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
We're gonna tap
Had to
in
get
just a little bit,
okay.
because I believe what it takes to be able to, like, you are not just, a lot of people are doing the things, but you are doing the thing on another level. And I think that in order for you to even be able to do that, you're tapping into something deeper, something greater. Like, you've discovered something within you that you are literally harnessing your power to do these things. And I'm thinking that a part of you being able to do that professionally is because you've been able to do that personally. So you have been able to hold on to the power of all powers. Let's get into it. So listen, y'all, in case you have not picked up what I'm putting down, Teri has been able to keep the secret a secret for 30 plus years, y'all. Now that is a feat that I don't think I know anybody else that's been able to accomplish this thing. So let's just talk about where your beliefs, well, I guess we know where the belief system came from, but where you found the strength to be able to keep to keep your virginity, literally the most precious gift that you have, to be able to keep that to yourself. Like, how did you manage to really, really commit to this thing and then actually follow through?
Good question. And it is tough. Like I'm a touchy-feely person. I love to cuddle, and so it's not an easy thing. Like, some people are like, "Well, do you just, like, not like boys?" I'm like, "No, I love me some men." Thank you. Um, but and for everybody's their preference. But, I think the biggest thing is knowing that I do have a higher calling and I do serve a higher master. So even in trade and travel, like we said, like, I'm always in service. I really want people to succeed. I really want them to do well. And I know it's because God has done so much for me. Like, this is like a spillover. What you guys get in trade and travel is just me spilling over what God has already done for me. And like, when I was serving, even in ministry and teaching, it was just, I felt like I had the coolest secret in the world when I could break down a scripture in the Bible and then help other people understand it. And then seeing that light go off, like, that was just fun
Mm.
for me. So really, with my virginity, it's really for me just, I know that my body is a temple of God, and I'm just saving it until God gives permission for some other man to take care of me. And then he can have that gift.
Yes. Okay. So, Teri, you're gonna have to go back and watch, what was it, episode 4 with my girl Sex with Ashley. So we had a sex educator on a previous episode.
Ooh.
And when I tell you these conversations are going to be totally different, which is the beauty of this platform, that we can have conversations with so many different perspectives, so many, a range of experiences. And the question with her in the space where she is publicly a sex educator, my question was, well, how do men take this when you introduce yourself as, I'm Sex with Ashley? I'm sure she doesn't actually say that, but she introduces herself knowing that this is her profession. This is the space she works in. I don't think that this is a conversation for you that probably comes up on the first date. But when you get around to this conversation, how are men responding to it? How have they been receptive to it or
Yeah.
not?
There are some men that are on that journey too. Like, especially now that I'm older, there's some guys that are like, you know what? I've sown my oats so many places. Like, I'm okay waiting for the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some men that are like that. There's other ones that are like, Teri, I love you to death, but I'm not the one. And that's okay too. And you know what? Like, those, I have so many brothers, I would say, just brothers that love me to death. They would, I won't say they would die for me, but they was, step on some glass to make sure I don't fall down. Like, they are the best men ever. But I know that, like, they just couldn't do that. Like, they couldn't withstand without sex, right? So it's really going to be a special person that God brings along. But the same way that I've had faith over my finances and God has just completely blown my mind, faith over just the opportunities, like, God, like, for me, God really told me, you can quit your job and you can travel around the world. And I had to step out on faith on that thing, because my job, although I didn't like being in the school, it was my second year. It was about to be my second year, and things get easier in your second year. And it was comfortable and it was easy, right? Not easy, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So it took me like stepping out on faith to decide, okay, I'm gonna quit this. I'm gonna just travel around the world and I'm gonna start trading. And I actually had given that to God. And now look at what it's become. It's become
Right.
this like $1 million empire, right?
That same.
So go ahead. So yeah, so that same guy who could do all the same guy who could just speak and create the world, he can totally bring the right person in my life. So that's what I'm believing in.
Listen, that to me is like what everybody needs to tap back into when that little spirit comes over them, that they start feeling doubtful about whatever that next thing is. Because if you can just tap into all of the blessings that you are currently experiencing that you once would not even have believed was possible for yourself, that to me is what can keep you going. So I think that's a really good way to put it. Like, if he could do all of this, why would he not have this other piece for me? Like, why would that not be there? So I love that. That is so inspiring for people who really are feeling like, well, come on, I'm getting impatient. So I appreciate you providing that perspective and just being open and, honest and willing to even talk about it, because there are so many women out there who I'm sure, listen, I ain't had that type of, I got faith in God, but I don't know. It must not have been
that wasn't your ministry.
that was not my ministry. But there are a lot of women out there who I'm sure, can relate to this story and may, be feeling doubtful or feeling afraid or just dealing with the pressures. Like it's
Yeah,
already pressure just being a woman and dating. So being
it
a
is.
woman and knowing that you have this standard that is not typical, I think is definitely like that takes courage. So definitely kudos to you for being courageous in that way.
Thank you. And it goes a bit beyond just sex, right? There might be some other places in the women's lives or in people's lives where they're not sure if they could really count on God. Like,
Mm,
God, you can have everything else, but in this, I got to do it myself. And so I just want people to see me and just be encouraged that you can be obedient in all parts of your life. Like there's a scripture that says like to love God is to obey God's commands. Like it's okay. Like that's a form of love.
yes.
And to know that like you can kind of give over every part of your life, or you can even be different and it'll still be okay. Cause clearly I'm different. Not everybody is waiting out till they 30 something. And then even just encouraging women too that like have not found the one and everybody else is getting married and having kids. And like, yeah, some of us in our 30s, late 30s, we haven't found him yet. And that's okay. Or I found our person. Maybe you don't like me, like women, that's fine. Haven't found your partner. I
Mhm.
just want to encourage people that it's okay.
So my last question around this though, Terry, is the higher you go, that your options start to change, right? Your surroundings change, your environment change, your options change. Have you started to notice that men treat you differently? Like once they find out maybe how successful you are. I mean, your business you're very Googleable. So it doesn't take much, to find out what you're working with. So how are men treating you different? Are you having to think about that now in your dating?
I have discernment over everybody in my circle. So it's not just the men, it's the everybody.
Mm,
And the guys who are around me, they very much respect me and they treat me like a queen. And if they don't, then I'm quick to cut somebody. Not like, you know what I'm talking about. Like like we ain't gotta be friends like that. That's cool. And
yeah, but
I'm okay with that.
it takes knowing who you are, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing you are the table to be able to have that discernment, which I believe is like God's greatest gift, like having that intuition, being able to tap into it, even though we don't always trust it, even though we don't always act on it. The fact that it's there, I think that really truly is our greatest gift. And you've obviously used that across the board. It's not just a feeling you get when it comes to men, it's a feeling you get when it comes to trading your money. So for
Yes.
the people who are tapping in, who are interested in learning more about how they can travel the world and trade, please let them know just a little bit more about what they can expect to learn from your class. I'm going to make sure that we drop the link below in case
Yes.
anybody is interested in signing up, but let them know what they can expect, and they can get it at tradeandtravel.com, correct?
Yes, you can find us at Trade and Travel everywhere. So Instagram Trade and Travel and spell out the whole word Trade and Travel, YouTube Trade and Travel, and then tradeandtravel.com. We even have a free webinar there. But in the course, it's 8 weeks and it's everything I wish I knew when I first started trading. And I've been trading for 12 years now, so a long time. But it's how do you pick the right companies? Then how do you protect your risk? How do you protect yourself from losing? Because I know that's a lot of people's fear. Then, okay, how do I know the right price to get in and the right time to get out? That's charting. So we look at charts. Then we have a checklist of, okay, if you just do these 7 things each time, that'll take some of the worry out. You're not guessing, using emotion. Then we go a little more advanced. And we say, well, how do you make money when the stock is falling? Oh,
Mhm.
that's short selling. Got it. And we go into options. So 8 weeks, you can learn how to trade. And we have even a simulator where you can practice with fake money while you're learning. So it's really cool program.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love that you have not only created literally a life of freedom for yourself, but you are now turning back and bringing those resources back to other people who want to do the same. So I'm excited for everybody who is about to be trading and traveling. Teri, I appreciate you joining us on the Girl Stop Playing podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Thank you.